Good morning, light travelers. Welcome to a rather windy day here just outside of Clayton, New Mexico at the roadside picnic area. I've got a few things planned for today. I'm excited to talk about them, so let me eat some breakfast and I'll get talking. I want to start this off by saying I'm going to attempt to film, but I think the wind may be no match for my voice. Today, I am planning on going to Black Mesa, which is the highest point in Oklahoma. Hopefully, I will get to film and the wind won't be too bad, but my hopes are not high. We're gonna try anyway. Well, we are here at what supposedly is the tri-point between Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico, but there doesn't seem to be anything to indicate it, like a monument or anything, so maybe I'm missing something, but it's too windy for me to film out there, so we're just gonna say we were here, and we're gonna press on.
I could have said it wasn't my way, but I didn't. And I wonder why. I feel like letting my freak flag fly. Yes,
I'll miss you, New Mexico. And on to Oklahoma. Welcome to the Black Mesa Trailhead. When I get to the top, this will be state high point number 3 for me after Black Elk Peak in South Dakota and Humphreys Peak in Arizona. We are about done in the flat section, beginning our ascent up the mesa, and it's a pretty hefty climb up there, doing it all in one shot, and once you get to the top, it's pretty flat. Black Mesa is located near the tri-point of Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Colorado. It is part of a much larger mesa that stretches into both neighboring states. The area, commonly referred to as Canyon Country, plays host to some of the most unique features of the Sooner State, including volcanism, abundant dinosaur bones, and Oklahoma's only native stand of ponderosa pines. Isn't this just something? It's beautiful up here, but it's time for us to head back down. It is a whole different world up here. And I love this hike because, well, if you looked at this behind me, you wouldn't even be able to tell that that is even over there. This landscape out here is incredible because you got so many different things here. Not only just the mesas, but you've got prairie grass and juniper, and you've also got like desert stuff like the yucca right here and the cholla cactus. They're not over here. Oh, there's one right over there behind me, way back there. Say hi, bud. But you've got so much different stuff that's associated with so many different types of ecosystems, and it all comes together here in harmony, and it's just beautiful and it's unique, and I love it. And in all honesty, if I gave you no context, would y'all believe that this is in Oklahoma? I know I would have a hard time believing it. It probably would not be my first guess as to what terrain like this is, or what state terrain like this is in. And my other point to that is, around the country and around the world, there are pockets of places like this that you wouldn't normally expect to be where they are, or just surprising. I bet there are some that are close to you watching this video. I don't want to say they're necessarily easy to get to or whatever it may be, but they're there for those that want to seek them out. I'm sure that near you there's not necessarily a place that looks like this, but there's a pocket of undocumented beauty, I guess I could say, for lack of a better term. Also, weather alert, we are getting overcast skies for the first time on the trip. And coming from someone that grew up in an area where the weather was so volatile, it's strange to have the same weather almost exactly for 2 weeks straight. Welcome back to the Camping Mobile, everybody, and that was a fantastic hike. To talk about some hiking stats for y'all, that was about 7.5 miles, not too bad. I do want to address the fact that there is, for whatever reason, a discrepancy in the distance that is listed online and here at the trail. It says here, posted, that it's 4 2/10 of a mile from the parking lot to the summit. Me tracking it, it was actually 3 6/10 of a mile going one way. And I mean, I'm sure that discrepancy is in there, just the fact that they kind of want to overplay it a little bit. In my experience, most trails are like that by at least 1 or 2/10 of a mile, but never this egregious. So I don't know if it's just my tracking was off or whatever, but it was definitely a lot shorter than it said it was going to be. So I got to go find somewhere to go crash for the night. Let's set a course for that. Welcome to Boise City, Oklahoma, here in the Panhandle. And before I get back on the road, I'm going to mention 2 very interesting things in the history of this town. In the early 20th century, there were 3 guys by the names of Stanley, Klein, and Douglas, and they claimed to work for the Southwestern Immigration Office, who basically was selling plots of land, and they advertised Boise City to a bunch of people and said, hey, this city is great. It has tree-lined streets. There's an artesian well. It'll be great for business. And so a bunch of people moved here to find out that that was in fact not true. And not only was it not true, these 3 gentlemen didn't serve in any kind of office like that and didn't even have the deeds to the land that they were supposedly selling. So long story short, they were convicted by the federal government and were sentenced to Leavenworth. One of them died from tuberculosis along the way, but people settled here anyway, and they made themselves a nice community. And later on, during World War II in 1943, I believe, there was a B-17 bomber that was conducting training missions in the area. And the pilots on board, they became disoriented and saw the lights of Boise City and thought it was their target and dropped a couple of training bombs. Of course, it could have been a lot worse, but it wasn't. There was actually minimal damage. There was no injuries or fatalities. Everyone was fine, and it became a footnote in the interesting history of this far-flung community that I'm in now. And you never would have known if you didn't research it, didn't live here, or just, whatever. But anyway, Boise City. Let's get back on the road. This one's for the fam watching back home. Wind blows hard across the Texas plains, it makes some people go insane, while others quietly pray for rain. That's where we came from. Two boys playing in the burning sun, one with books, one with guns. Mama calls, but just one comes, the yellow one runs. With the Christian sense of wrong and right, we were born and raised in black and white. One learned to pray, one learned to fight. We were born. Welcome to Highwaymen, Oklahoma for the night. We have found a place to not only cook, but hopefully found a place to sleep. I think you're allowed to sleep here. And there's an eerie sense of calm in the weather this evening, which can only mean that tomorrow that the Blue Norther is in fact on its way. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to cook and eat some grub and listen to some college football. Howdy, light travelers. Welcome back to the Stealth Mobile. We are turning in for the night here at the park in Highwaymen, Oklahoma. It was a great day, but I'm pretty tired. And we've got some cold weather moving into the area, so we should be dealing with that tomorrow. But tonight, we're going to get some sleep. Good night, everybody.